Ia parale la baria hoe pa malo mo le toka ko to pe mo be mai ki polokalama Talanoa Kaungafononga. Au to fi lai ki hoko ai pe Talanoa I he kaweinga koe ni ko e Laulanu pe ko e fakahilihili'i apiako ka maafuke Ngãue anga. Discrimination at work and also at school. Hange koe ne lawe at kai polokalama uruaki fia lahi Kaufakataha pe mo e toita Siale Foliaki. Ka maafuka sani ke mahoko atu. Sa e toita ko tu Siale ko Talanoa. Ne fai Talanoa ko osi. Ne fai Talanoa tau sio ke discrimination at work and also at school. In various forms, pa koe whiui lewa, koe harewa tau me whai. O wai nei ha whahenga tokoni, ki nau tolu wai kou tui wai kakai nau mea mai hoka ngai mea pega te nau tolu he Ngãue anga. I'm sure wai whanau, ngai mātua koe nau whanau, wako ngai ako anga hoko ai. Pea ke tau toi sio ange, koe harewa ha mea whai. Taha mea nau wana tui toke tāna ke lave ki ai, na ke lave how to make policies. Wha e ngahi lao. Ko ngahi lao ke malu'i aki, kai ngata pehe api ako, kai umaafuko e Ngãue anga. Ko mea ko mana tu, tei mena ngahi mea kehe ke hoko atu ki ai e tau sio.
Alo pe. Tau kamata he workplace.
Ia.
No, tau Talanoa ke workplace policies had the first podcast. And you can see how the New Zealand workforce system has changed since the 1970s. Now we have policies in place that enable, whether there's a promotion that's going to be given, that the promotion has to be based on the competency of the individual and the fairness of the interview process. And I've been through another interview processes now where we interview different staff members. You have to ask the questions in a structured way. You can't ask questions that weren't asked to the other other person because it's not fair. I think that side of the workplace is getting better and better. But they also have complaints processes. So, my advice for our Tongan community, if they were going for a promotion in the work or seeing somebody promoted above them, there's a workplace policy where they can ask for justification of that decision. It's not always available, but there are those types of structured processes. But I want to come at it from another angle. And we won't mention names on the podcast, but I want to talk about a young nurse that undertook a qualification process to become a nurse prescriber. What that means is that she can act like a doctor. She has the responsibility, she has the ability to write a prescription for medication, just the same as a doctor. And to get to that level, she has to be able to do an assessment process, medical assessment process like a doctor. My advice would be for our Tongan community is acquire if it is possible, to acquire a training opportunity or an educational opportunity to advance yourself so that when a promotion comes along, I think often it's the qualification that we overlook. So you gave an example in our last podcast then, Ngãue Kaungafononga ki tamawhao pālangi au hangi na promote ki more over the top of the men that had been there longer that were good at doing the job. I think we're always at risk of that situation happening to us if we don't follow the pālangi example of just subtly getting an additional qualification that strengthens our ability. You're never going to be able to universally take away the prejudice and the bias that exists in a community. There's no, maybe when we get to heaven, there's always going to be, but I love New Zealand as a society and as a country. They're trying to put these processes in place to try to make it fair. Right? And I want to talk about the schooling system for a little bit now. If the welfare of our children, if we leave that as a Tongan community just to the school authorities, we're going to abandon our children. The only way that we can really truly ensure that the school provides our children with the educational opportunities that they deserve, and that they warrant, the only way we're going to do that is if we can advocate for our children in that school environment. Well, we have statistics, it's, what is it now? It's 36% of Pacific Island children
Yes.
will leave school NCA level 1 qualification, right? Māori have this view that the system has got a bias, that it has to be a bias that is an institutional bias, because up to 49% of Māori children are leaving school now without any NCA qualification. From a statistical point of view, do you know if you get to level 3 NCA and you I don't know if you have to pass it, but whether you just get to that, stay in school until level 3, only 7% of children that have got an NCA level 3 qualification will have contact with the criminal justice system. Okay? So that means just staying at school and getting a qualification, it really protects you against having contact with police or criminal justice, going to court. Whereas 50% of children that only finish school with no qualification, so 50% of those children are likely to have contact with the criminal justice system. So what it's saying is that education is really important, right? And if racism exists within the education system, if we leave that responsibility just to the teachers and the school, I feel like we are abandoning the children. It feels to me that we have got to, as a Tongan community, I love the schools that have set up the after-school programs, the whakahoko ko he o build at the maiki, my parents are involved, my ufaiako, whakalere at boako, our relationships my apiako. That's how we can advocate or support our children when they run into difficulties. And you would expect children to make mistakes and to run into difficulties at school, right? And we've all been involved in going to school meetings, trying to advocate for those children that have broken the rules. Sometimes the response from the school is far greater than the punishment often is to expel the child. That is far greater than the actual, how do I put it? The behavior. Or the crime. The crime didn't, the sentence was too great for the crime. And we've all been experienced that. And that's when we think something racist has happened, because the sentence was too great for the crime. And so advocating for our children, if we don't take responsibility for the community and put those sorts of places, especially in the schools where there's a large number of our Tongan community there, I feel that's one of the, that's a way that we can respond as a community.
One of the podcasts that me and Siale recorded before Dr. Foliaki, and I mentioned that, you know how there's a view, the first education of a school is at home. Ko feitu ia pehe na whanau I mea ia Laulanu. Ko feitu pia e lava mea whai whakalelei. Ai tau hangi ko tāna, e mahu inga koe o e ako. Pea mahu inga ke lava kia, it's very important ke lava mātua I api. O Ngãue work together, tātanga I fohe. Rowing their oars together with the school. Ko api o ka wai whakakaukau e Tonga. Ko Talanoa pa whakape whakatapu. Ko lia pe tau whanau ki he. Ko mo Ngãue a moto, no, because in our Tongan context we talk about obligation and responsibility. Whatongi a motor, ako motor, ko ala Ngãue. And I think we have to ke Talanoa ke whakamahino ka te motor e mātua, mahu ke tau whengai aki. Ke furi whakataha tu pe ke apiako. Hai a wai role ke play, wai pe whatongia ke fuesia.
O Māori a pete anga o mopo Talanoa. O ko ala whakakaukau koe taha I ma whanau. Nei alu ke a ko pe au he kemi. Ko ngā ko Talanoa ko eni toke tā ke whakaukau ko eni. Ko hau e ki unganga pe koe behavior.
E chofoki,
Pe o ko Māori fu tau te aku mamawhai. Mamawhai ke he tamsi. Ko o he kemi matamasi I pe hanga whamatarili ki tahine he kemi pe ako. Ngai tahine tuki e matapase o ata. Kai ke. Pea tau te ale vai o whohau o awe ia whamawahe e ke ki whuiloke e taha pea o stai hono Talanoa kai ke. Ko tenpo na wak ma whoki mako ki o kalani ni na e whai ai ke mi lo to lua. Ko na mako ki o kalani ni o spetutaki mai ki o arango taitali Ma mai hanga ton pe mea whai Talanoa. Ia pule a ko pea. ai mana toko fa pe me apia ko 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 mo fo ha ma toko ua pe he ko sia ko a ko foi tangutu ko ia o ka ye fe ia o imbalance pe e foi tangutu ko ia te ki fa ta no ia he pe a kamata leva ke lia ta ha ka fa ia ko he ka ko na i ke mi ke mo to kon pure ako ke mo pure ako ka to na hire ako to ko e ko hono franga i be ho fo ha mo to wi fo ki la he ko tangut pe ia fa lo pe fa no he alo ke pure ako to e la ure va pure ako he ko hinga ko fanongo ko ki ai ko pe io mahalo pe ko mo on ko ke pe ko mahalo ko mo on na fa yo fu ha ko fa matari ko ta mai ki he ka responsible pe ki ta ine ki ene choice ke ne tuki e matapa it's your own choice he e na ke pe ta ha ke tuki e matapa he ka ke pa wo ya ma fa ta te ko fu he pa os ko ya pe ta mai ba he pure ka ke fa ya re ko fu ha ko me na wo i e wi na fa mai pure ya ke to ka mo he hono to ta fu i ho fu ha pa pe ha me ba wi ma hi no pe ngai tu ku nga os fa no nga ko mo ngai nga ya ko na ki he ko me ko ni ko sta no ge mo fu ha ko to na ko me pe ko fa ambia ko fu ha ke a ko me ni fi ha la ki ko to na ko e fa mata la ko fu ha to fa pe mo wa pi he fa ya he ko fo yo ngai ko ta mi ko ya hanga he kurea or pop a balloon in the room and deflate it he hanga ko deflate nai and now like puffing up that we gonna nail this that's how my feeling was in the space pe kai ke ko ngai pa na ke fi kurea ko he kurea pa ke to nga ke ai ko frale ta fa ka si ngai ma to ta fa na stand by your son
ko ia
o kai ke tau te to luia ko sistemi pe halaya pe tonu hia ho fo ha po ke o hinga ke alo fe nga ke tonu hia ho fo ha ko poini stand by your son ai o mai ki fa ka e Talanoa a honi ko Kaungafononga ke fononga fa ta mo fo ha mo o fe fine helele mo ko vio hala fononga ma fo ke ma go ki api kai ke fele ak mo fo ha o se ata a he wa ne loto mama ye me na ho os ko ya e a falai te ya au a monite matano mo fo ha te au ke a ko pe au le fo ha ke a ko o ta pa le ba ki me ofa te au ke au ke family ki ta hine ko fa mo ki a au ke pure a ko fa mo me ke he pe a fo ki ma ko fo ha ko e chef monite ko pe ke na ha ta mai fo ha ka te sa ne ko to e ngahi lea ko na fai ke te au ko i ai na te ko ve na ria fai ko ke te au he a ni ba to ta ko ta o fe ta mai le ba fu ha ka te au to mai ngahi lea ko e ni o pe he mai o to no I'm privileged ke ha wa ko ha pia ko pe he ko u hi ka pa te wa la ko sa te o kalan he kai te wa ma ha fai ma mari a ko pe he mo ha ko ke anke na i lo e fai a ko tau so ni ke a pia ko na si o mai pe o fo ha pa taranke o ko ke ilo o ba to ton ke hanga fai le ha launga oficial fe ko ak mo pure ako pe mai fo ha ka te o ma ko tang okay te fa pa ko ta no a to ke ta ke fo fa ka Kaungafononga mo te fa na i he a ta ka no fakahilihili'i te fa na ko ta ko ha ho lau ta lu e pe ta mai ba fo ha ka te o te hanga launga e pure ako e san he ko nga o i lo pe ho fo ha i lo pe Penisimani a ta mai o te hanga launga i san kai ka tu pe ka te au ke lu ko ta ko ha ya mo ke te ko he tai lu lau pe fa ya ko ta mai ka te ko ita ko ta sai pe ita ya ka ko fe hu ka ko ha mo oni o tu ku nga what's the truth of the situation o mo oni o ke no for South Auckland pe mai i ka yo ko no for Epsom ko ta io ko mo ni ya ai pala na mau so it's a choice your response ai ko fa ka siale hanga tano na fa Penisimani e te foki mai pe rock api ako ki api ki he ba o matu apa mo tau i fa nau ke o i tau fa nau he ko tau ka venga hanga ko Talanoa na fa ki mo ato ke tau malu i tau fa nau o te nau te to ka fa ngata o te malava ia he mo ui e to na to le ke fa ngata o bulahi au bito ai fa ngata ia he mo ui ko tau fenga ke a ko ki na to o ko nga ke ta ofi o te na to ma ko poi ni ka pa te ke to ma o me fai Ko tōko pake la vea ka o mea whai. Te tā ke ambulance I work for the mahaki. Ko tau whenga i ke ako ke lava ke tupure kina he tamsi I haiwi moa mawhai. Ke ne lava whakakaukau I koe haa mea e whai he taimi hoko mea ngai whai ngā tā ako e mi. Kai ke, ka koe ngai e tānat whakakaukau. He koe uhi ka pau te tau Talanoa ke lao I ngai api ako. Tau Talanoa ke ngai hono treat e tau whanau I he api ako. Mena tūla kau whai ako. Iai pe mea te tau lava ririu. Tangai ko tau Talanoa policy koe lao. Ka iai e umea ia, li tau lava tō ririu. Pa ko tau Ngãue rewa ko hono oi e tau whanau. Te hono ohi e tau whanau. Ko whaiulia whakapaparang ko tau equipped and nurture. Equipped and nurture our children can now love or thrive in such environment. Or even to know which environment that I can thrive in and an environment that I can't survive.
The question that I ask is, koe ha objective, koe ha mea nau whenga ke a kohi. And when you hear your story, what I hear is that they wanted to not demonstrate or show. They wanted your son to feel bad. They wanted him to feel inferior. And if you think about that from a teacher's perspective, that was never a teacher should. Koe ako naki. No, kone mea nai whai, nai hala. And there's a really important lesson to be learned there. And when you watch the best teachers, they are really great teachers.
Yes.
And when you watch them in action, now use an incident like that, ke ako naki, in a way that makes the child have time to feel what they did wrong. Do you know when we attack the children, that they have to defend themselves against that, like you were defending him against that, right? And the power of the lesson is lost. Because you take a defensive position and you no longer think about you start to think about there's something wrong going on here. These people are trying to make us feel bad. And the lesson that your son could have learned, it's lost. But there's an upside to this conversation. You know, when I listen to this conversation, Tane, often the children, if they've got a supportive base, often the adversity they experience, it strengthens them. It doesn't weaken them as long as they've got a strong base to return to. And one of the challenges for us as a Tongan community is to support one another. So each of our individual households all get strong there. If they've got a strong foundation to return to, they're going to be all right. Actually, they're stronger as a result of having to deal with difficult things. I feel sorry for the families of, of whangata'a ke provide that sort of foundation when the children rise to arrive home because of other issues that are going on that's outside of the control of the family. And that's why as a community of fakahilihili'i and support one another.
Kumari he Talanoa e Siale. Ko hinga pa tau whenga whukahanga I mea ke whai, ke tau lava o overcome. Ke tau whihanga pa mo e Laulanu he Ngãue a Ngãue api ako. Ke Talanoa ke mauinga e ako. Ta tau pēr ki nau tōlo nau Ngãue a Ngãue maha uinga ke toi whanau. Nau equip nau tō, pe toi whakaliri e nau poto I Ngãue upskill. Ko hi ke koe konga I tā. Moi whanau ako, tokanga ke he ako. O ko kau whoki e tau faith e tau tui. O koe ngau ai sagata koe ko Paula, St. Paul. E toi tāpu. Ko ne tohi ke siasi I Kaletia. Ko ki kakai wena nofo koe I Galatia. Ko ki kakai, ma te whuko koe Christianity back in the days. Ki kamata te kei ke whu ilo. They are so very tiny and it's a minority in a major a space. But tānga rewa e Paula e tohi I Kaletia. O te mō whiu e whainere. But ki se te si, it's a very short sentence. Encourage e Paula. Kake pēta Paula ka nau tōru he ke nau nofo koe. He koe ngana e hoko e Laulanu. But nea ui au he tunga koe persecution. They were persecuted in a very barbaric way. Tānga rewa e Paula mō whainere. Like you talked about, alo whainere he a ko. Ko e rea ka tau tōre tau veliu whakatonga, alo ke he Ngãue anga, ka pate tau look from our Tongan context. Ko mea kong tau veliu e tō, alo whakaapa-apa. alo loto, you know, show your respect and humility. And even like maintain your relationship with everybody in a good way. Fai lele. Ka ke alu ki he ako, ngai Talanoa ko whawhai pa mosane ke mawhanau. Ko mō ke he ako, ha oe tamasi lai o se ta auni, Tānge e sāne, finish well. Ha mea o ke mamahi ai, ha ngahi mea he api ako. Ke alu whenga ke o te ke alu me api ako, ke alu pa moe whainga loto pehe. Ko whai lele, ko ngā ko o interpret, e whinga mea o tokanga ke ai, ai sangata wani ko paula. Whai lele, he mea ko toko hinga, he ke lava e kovia ke ikuna lele. Ka utui e toke tā. Ka pau e whai, nai e rea e tangata whai whikauna ne pehe. Ka pau koe mo ui koe ethics koe mamani, ke maalohe mau e kovi maua e pe. Ang tono ke o te tau te lota tau koe te mo ui o tua. Ka koe hui hanga lau koe na ke lau e mention about that guy Stephen Biko. Koe tau whai e ngahi lelei ko toa pe. Pa kou tui koe whakalotolahi ke tau community tau. Tau whai lelei. Tau hi e tau ngahi values. E tau ngahi ulunganga lelei. No, our good behaviors. Tau offer. We care, we show kindness, we show mercy. I believe that hanga taof ai Laulanu. O ngai lau e tangata theologians o me ki wheitu uan ko tangata ko Miloslav Volf. He wrote a book about embrace and exclusion and how he defines sin. Remember the time the whole Yugoslavia. I time go and I hang ko he I forgot the name of Matakari, you know, and now town for a lot of fonua. Now to split the go fonua. And he wrote in his book what behavior in Miloslav Volf, because sin for cannot define it's missing the target. What is that particular target? And the behavior. We hang go he kakayo exclude the otua. Otua wa offer, it's a source of love and care. He won't forget to have a best young life for a neighbor within a Muslim. But to have a pelu, who found for a tabu or tamate in a neighbor. I hear going a fakau be go more lele. Or do we go challenge or take down to Lu? Here, or down. We can't deny our brownness and our Tongan and our ethnicity because we didn't choose it. It's a godly arrangement. Ko mea ke tau koksio ko ako ke tau tokanga ko ki ai tau whailelei, tau tokanga ke tau wako. And like you said, Siale, we have to know the system, educational system, the health. Ke tau lava, ke tau ilo, ai ulau koe e Sonlatu Kefu. Professor late Sonlatu Kefu. Ako ke tau poto hono a aloho tau waka. He fu o seni go ni a te oroa o whahinga society go ni. Na te hamea ke he toke tāu ke whaham ke lawe ki ai.
Kai, malapito. Penisimani. Ko hea lawa St. Paul. Ko ne never get tired of.
He whaile, too good. Whaile lelei go toa pe. No tonga he tau nofa, ngai ko ne unga ki kakai ko ni. Yes, Ongo mai tohitala mai, they were persecuted. You know, they suffered from discrimination in all aspects. Talang he pena tole peata Paulo. Toha mea whana mo tau. And St. Paul said, fight the lay. Oh, I feel we fight the lay.
Oh, I feel we fight the lay.
Don't give up. Mo fight the lay ho mo Ngãue mo lotu. He ulava pe he lelei ke ne ikuna e kovi. Ko tau ulunganga lelei te ne lava ikuna e ulunganga kovi. Ka kapate tau te tafok ta la wa Miloslav Volf. Kapate te hangea me tamako he neiba te ulunganga kovi o to o ke utamati. Ko ne alua escalate o to e wesa.
Sa tavo ki whakakaukau pēni ki tāna ki atu pē ki mea kono ke tānoa ki ai. Hange koe whakakaukau koe tānoa koe ni Apostoloa Paula. O te mōwhiu he whailele. What does that mean? In terms of context koe ne tau tānoa ki api ako pia moe api Ngãue. Koe whakakaukau koe ki ai. Hange koe ni. O koe ai pē ho tau mālohinga. O koe mea tau lava, koe mea koe ke tau lava. Hange koe ni ka pau ko au. He o ke ai be ho malo hinga. He ka ulava pe o kai ai lea mau pe ai tapo o ko e ni ko sister ka brini makasiale ko ne pe mai pe ka te au e aratu. After his supervision, a small act of kindness goes a long way. A small act of kindness goes a long way. Ai ako kusio ki ai singa matua tawi whanau. Ha ki mea si te ke lava whai ke toko ni ea ke ki tamasi i koe peo ki tahine koe. Peo mo whamiri, peo koe ke mo whamiri. Hange te whakatata ki pe eni. Ko alatu pa mo whoha koe o ave ki o whai ne interview. He ki apiako, he ki apiako o kusai e tunga whakaako. Pea eke ange pao, eke ange e heku. Ko tamsi lahi a koe na alo ave ai whohasisi i ke interview. Pea eke ange tamsi a koe ke whoha. O koe hao whereni. Ai fuk kon totonu ke alu o support ho foha ke interview e apiako. Pea lo tama koe interview pe hangere lo tamsi lahi ke no ki tehina. O koe hao whereni, o interview mai ke hu mai ki heni. Pea pe hangere wa e matamsi a maua. Iyo, koe ki tamsi pe taha. Ka koe nai tama e ai nai tō mu ia ke whai e sivi. Ka koe nai tama e ke toi hau ia. Pea ngere vai pure a koke tamsi lahi. Oh, koe whihuri nere ia ke eke. Ka ko hai ere ka ko ia, talange ki ai te whia pe ke te anga whainga maari e ke te hausi. Ka kone hau ko puha o tala mai ki te au, ko tohi rewa ke whae vai ki tamasi ko eni. O whamatalangi ai e mea koe nai hoko pau talange ki ai. Ko ino ku tala mai ke ai pe whainga maari e ka pau te ke te whetu taki pe te at pe whainga maari e ke siri. Ko wike lava hau ki tamasi i. Ai ko whakakau, haki mea si pe, ko ki mea pe nau whai e au ia. Tok tohi mai whae e ia mau ko se wike tōro tala mai ka te au maro au pito. Ka koe na te whai whetu tapa ku lava pau alu mo tamasi i. Ai ko whakakau singa ai mātua tai whānau. Iai me ki mea si pe he te ke whakahoko. Hange ko e ni. O pale beo ku hau e whiwhine pālangi kia te au. Ka whiwhine o ku whetu takia pia moi apiako o wea ngai skola simple le iai. Ha whiwhine o tala mai kia te au. E sane, nau talanoa pia moi timi o nau tolo e skola sipi. Pia nau tala mai o nau struggle ke nau fine. Ha mātua te nau lava poupovi le lei e nau whānau. Pia talangi, o ko iro e ngai mātua te nau lava nau tō whai ki Ngãue ko e ka pao e hangai skola sipi o mai e nau Ngãue. O totongi ai ako. Pula wale whai whetu takai ke whaki mātua. Ko ki whainga maari e, nā maua whainga maari ho mo whānau. Ai o whakakau, it's just small act of kindness. Ka koe whakakau koe o te tau whiu he whai lelei, o pehene whakakau koe ki ai. Ko ki ngelelei koe te ke whai. E toi whoki mai pia ki a koe. Ko hinga he ke loi whora koe, tenga koe te ke tō, koe ape te ke utu. Te ke whai lelei ki tamsi ai taha ko e hanga he otua o mai he whine ke, he moe tamai ke hao whai lelei mai ko ki tamasi i. Koe hui he puri ai amu i tonge tā, koe ofa he otua. Nā aho, o awa tō whorao he ha whanua, o kai ke hao whamiri ai. Ka koe nā ha taha ai na ke whai haki lelei ki ai, he whetu go ia, e hao whai haki ofa ki o whoha. Ka koeanga pehe whakakaukau ke te hanga o ki o mwhakai ki whakakaukau ko ene Talanoa e apostolo o te tau whiu he whai lele e kupuri ai amui ko manat ke alu ke tangata nei toko ni mau peki mau tolu ko ene tupu hake kau tamai mate mai whae mate toko ni ki mau tolu tonga pia wala ki he putu ko whanongo ai ko moko puna e tangata ko eni mate ke si au pito ka koe si taha ko koe ki tamasi koe whohai a moko puna koe ni koe tangata eiki. Na tau pe mua he maalolo tangata eiki. Pau alo whai e ki whai lotu he putu koe ni mo whai ki tokon ke ki whamiri koe ni. Ka vei ngā pe he, ka ke iloia he kuia e reka. E ai e aho. E aroa ke hono moko puna, pe e mate ke i pongpongia pe he pe. Ka arake ne whanau te nau tamai mate. Kaku, ko inga Talanoa e toki tāwa pe he kia Penisimani e whakakau ko eni. Ua te tau whiu he whai lele. Ka koe ia pe malo Penisimani.
Malo san, malo aputo toki tā. Ko tui e kai ka whanongo ku wa e Talanoa tō e whakamamawha e mea nei tokanga ki ai sangatoa paula ke tau whai lele. Koe e ngahi whakatātā ngai si pinga lele. Mother Teresa, I love talking to her. Ko ki Ngãue ka nanga ka whiwhine nai malanga. ko le lei pena ne fai ko fai on ofena ka masiwa ko tangata iloa ke o Nelson Mandela fai mai e Laulanu ki ai ko manatu na ku lau e ne tohi ko ne ki statement yo pe ko te ke hu wa Mandela ko ke hu ki to me prison pa pe Mandela ka pau he kai ke ulava whakamore more ai ka kai ko na nau fai mai Laulanu ka te au but now te ata even though I'm free from my jail te ke prison pe au ya he te ke nofo popula pe au ya he bitterness mo e mamahi ko e whakatata e kakai na nau whai lelei. And I think the ultimate ko tui ko tau e ki ko Jesu Christo o Jesu Christ na ne whai lelei ta even though na e whai he whahinga tangata e ko. Pa ko tui ko sipinga lelei ko ea ko whamalo lahi at ea whamalo lahi tu ke ta Siale Foliaki ko hui ko Kaufakataha mo Talanoa Kaungafononga be ka Ilaisaane lang whakatawange na e hoko e Talanoa na mau whakahoko atu e au hoko tokoni lahi whakaloto lahi te whakamama te motoro mo mea mai mo mea mo whalahi